Hello, fellow nerds, geeks, and supporters of indie pop culture creators. Aaron Nabus here, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Hall H Show. On this episode, we welcome to the show the creator of the 80s anime inspired Black Lion and Cubs, Hotep. Born in New York City in the 1970s, Hotep is the personification of the progress made during the civil rights movements, the birth of hip hop music, and the emergence of black culture in American society. After graduating from Morehouse College, he became one of the only black male kindergarten teachers in his district. There, he learned firsthand how powerful and influential media is on the human mind and psyche. Today, Hotep is a consultant to schools across the United States, a father of two, and producer of several different types of media, including books, cartoons, films, music, and video games. His most recent creation, a family friendly anime series called Black Lion and Cubs, is a perfect example of why his work has earned him nominations for the Presidential Citizens Award and as a CNN hero. The Black Lion and Cubs universe incorporates, for now, a cartoon series, video game, album, graphic novels, and a motion manga series. I had the pleasure of meeting him at Black Comics Day 2024 in San Diego, California, where he was part of the panel that I moderated that touched on Black culture in anime and manga. He currently has an active Kickstarter campaign going on until March 3rd, 2025, for his newest project, an anime short film about one of the characters from the Black Lion and Cubs universe, the amazing, uh, is it Aliyah?
Araya.
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 Araya. Araya.
Mhm.
And welcome to the show, Hotep.
Hey, thank you, my brother Aaron. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to continue to spread the gospel and continue to do this work on behalf of all of us and including our children as well.
hmm Um, I guess, like all our heroes in comic books, we all have our origin stories. Could you tell us a little bit about your origin story? Where did you grow up, and what was 11-year-old Hotep like?
Great question. So, like was said in the bio, which was very well done, by the way. From New York, actually, particularly Long Island. My father moved to the Bronx when my parents got divorced, and my mother's side of the family is from Queens. So on any given time throughout the week, I'm in Long Island, I'm in Queens, or I'm in the Bronx. I'm my Although I was born in the '70s, I grew up in the '80s. So at 11 years old, I'm right in the smack dab in the middle of '80s pop culture. Anything that was happening when it came to pop culture in the '80s, I was involved in. I was a big cartoon head, Thundercats, Voltron in particular, GI Joe, Transformers, all of them. I played the original NES like a beast, man. I was a master at all the video games, all the Super Mario Brothers. I remember reading and collecting Nintendo Power. I was all into that hip hop culture. That was my thing as well. Big Daddy Kane was my hero. You know what I'm saying? Kid and Play. Um, just all anything the De La Soul tribe, that was me. And so and I was big into kung fu movies. You know, my father used to take us to 42nd Street theaters, so we used to go to the kung fu theaters there on 42nd Street. If we couldn't go there, we actually watched it on Saturday afternoon. Kung Fu Drive-In Theater is what they called it. So my point is, anything that you can imagine was popping in the '80s, I was a part of it. I was back then. So to this day, you would never hear me refer to myself as a nerd because growing up in the '80s, being a nerd was the worst thing a person could be. They even had whole movies about being nerds, like it was the worst thing. So I don't associate with the term nerd like some other people, nowadays. But as you can imagine, if I was young, young in today's time, I would have been considered a nerd. You know,
And I think I remember in our conversation back in 2024 on the panel, you said that your fandom ended in 1991. You want to sort of touch on that?
correct. Wow, you have a great memory, Aaron. Wow. Yes. So I grew up. My wonder years were in the '80s. All of that stopped in 1991 when I graduated college. Excuse me, when I graduated high school and went off to college in Atlanta. And so in '91, that was that transition year for me from basically being living with my parents to having to figure out my own way, what the person was that I wanted to become on my own, how to blaze my own trail and path. And so 91 was that year from 91 to 95 in Atlanta. That's when I started getting into the girls more, getting into entrepreneurship, getting into not just listening to music, but creating music and then marketing it. So that's when I got into creative entrepreneurship, first in the music industry. That here in Atlanta led me into getting into filmmaking because I wanted to shoot music videos for my music. The music video led to documentary production and direction. Then I wrote my first book in 2005, and that book took me on a whole nother level of speaking and Q&A and just people trying to learn how I was able to do so much as an independent creative without the endorsement or the sponsorship of outside entities and factors. So, and on top of that, I was a classroom school teacher during all this time. So I'm doing all this work part time and producing at quite a massive rate in multiple industries. So that's what kind of led me into doing more entrepreneurship coaching as well. I retired from teaching and built a consulting practice, became a father, and man, now I'm here with Black Lion and Cubs because I got two young ones in my house that I want to make sure are able to enjoy the types of things that I grew up on without having to be exposed to the ultra violence that you see in a lot of anime, the hypersexualization and the language that just is just not oftentimes appropriate for young people. So at this point in my life, I'm all about building strong children, starting with my children in my household, but then expanding that through the work that I'm doing to other people's children here in the United States and all around the world. Black Lion and Cubs is that representation.
Um, yeah, you sort of touched on what I was going to ask later on, but you pretty much touched on how why you felt empowered to create Black Lion and Cubs, making it a family friendly affair. Um, what's the secret link between Black Lion Cubs, Last Dragon, and Karate Kid?
Wow, man, you really do. All right, Aaron, I see you, my brother. I see you. So, all right, so I'm gonna take y'all back to the '80s now. All right, so in the '80s, there were two very popular movies that became cult classics. One was The Karate Kid. The other was The Last Dragon. If you pay attention to both movies, you will see that they basically tell the same story. One, though, is centered around an Italian kid, and the other one centered around an African American kid. So the context in which they're growing up is different, but their story is very similar. They are young people that have a fascination with Asian culture, all right, and or Asian cultures being introduced to them one way or another. Either they develop a fascination. That's the bottom line. They develop a fascination with Asian culture, and as a result, they are bullied and picked on by other people who also have an interest in Asian culture, but not the culture itself. They are interested in the the fighting, the kung fu, the martial arts aspect of Asian culture, not the entire culture itself. So you see the dichotomy between people in America who have a fascination with Asian culture as a whole, and then you see the difference that's juxtaposed to, people that just want it for the martial arts aspect and want to learn how to kick behind. And so I grew up in that time. I was them. I was Ralph Macchio. I was Timac. Like I was one of those people that had a great fascination with Asian culture because I like the kung fu movies first, but then also because my father, introduced us to Taoism and Buddhism. We used to go to Chinatown and buy the what do you call it? They call them we had the bamboo. They're not biscuits, the dumplings. We used to actually make use the bamboo steam the dumplings with the plum inside of them, like So we used to read books about Taoism, the art of war at the feet of the master. Um, so my point is, I was those people. I was Timac. I was Ralph Macchio in the Karate Kid. So fast forward to now with Black Lion and Cubs, I have the opportunity to create from my competencies, from my experience, and with the energy of a father. And the link between the three is that when you look at some of the design of the characters, you'll see the outfits. For example, the outfits look very much like some of the outfits that you would see in The Last Dragon. So the track suits, the red, black, and green colors. Those are very reminiscent of Last Dragon and the tracksuits they used to wear there. Also, no, that excuse me, that was the red, black, and green was the what's it called, the Cobra Kai. And so the red and the black, the Cobra Kai outfits, and the use of the logo. They had the snake logo, the yellow snake logo, or the gold snake logo. I have the gold lion logo for Black Lion and Cub. So that's Karate Kid. From Last Dragon in particular, there's also an influence there because they had the tracksuits as well, but then also the glow, right? So in Last Dragon, the power of the glow is a representation of your chi, your energy, your spirit, your power that comes from within, which is a big theme of Black Lion and Cubs. The understanding that true power comes from within. And part of that is evidenced when my heroes express their powers. They start to glow, very similar to Last Dragon. In my storyline, those powers are something are called something specific, and different, but those are the linkages. Those are the links between Black Lion and Cubs, the Karate Kid, the Last Dragon, and also the fact that that's again a throwback to the '80s, which is a time that I want to make sure people remember as dearly as I do.
Oh, 80s were fun, weren't they?
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Time in the
um,
world, man. I don't know if we can ever. It'll never happen again. But I just it was a time of exploration, of fun, of originality, and I just don't know if we'll ever have that kind of decade again.
yeah, I mean, just I don't know why, but just thinking back to the 80s, just right now, I'm reminded. I mean, the first memory that popped in my head was just me and my friends, riding our bikes around and drinking water out of a hose. I don't know why that popped in my head.
Yes. No, no. I mean, see, and that's it. Like, I mean, those are things that we did. We used to ride bikes. We used to put the little baseball cards in the bikes to give it a little motor sound.
Right.
We BMX bikes was a part of our culture. We used to do that with skateboards. And then just going on adventures. On your bicycle with your friends. I don't know if I'd ever let my children do that today. But it's just like I said, it was a time of it almost seemed like a time of innocence, exploration, but then also you got to think about it. In the '80s, they used to also run commercials. It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are? Right.
Right.
So like something was going on, that may not have been as appropriate as we might remember, or, as fondly as we remember. But again, to your point, drinking out of hoses. Who does that now? Do the kids drink out of hoses today?
I don't think so.
No, they drink bottled water now.
Right. If you were at a comic convention, how would you describe Black Lion and Cubs to people visiting your table?
Um, quite simply, a family-friendly retro-style anime brand, poised to be the next biggest thing since Dragon Ball Z. Come rock with me.
Nice. Could you tell us a little bit about the main characters?
Yes. So Black Lion and Cubs first started as a storyline centered around a father and his two sons. Because again, a lot of this was started because I'm a father of two children, and I wanted them to see themselves as the heroes of their own stories. I wanted them to see themselves as powerful beings. So I started with just something that I could do to connect with my children who are fans of anime and retro style cartoons because I had exposed them to it. Um, and so the father's job is it's really more about the cubs, the two children. Even though it says Black Lion and Cubs, it's not really about Black Lion as much as it is the two boys who he's committed to helping helping them develop and grow and mature into powerful beings. So the storyline is more like, even though I compare it to Dragon Ball Z because that's the flagship, the what do you call it, the number one, if you will. But the prototype, I'm gonna say, Dragon Ball Z is like the prototype. But um, it's when you experience the father's interaction with his children and the other heroes, it would probably remind you of more of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where Black
Mhm.
Lion is like Splinter, the two boys are two of the turtles, and then as I continue, like with this Kickstarter, introducing other cubs to the storyline. With Araya, for example, you start to see that now you have a central father figure, a teacher, a guide, who's helping younger people mature, grow, and learn about their own powers. In this case, we call them the powers of luminescence, engineers of light, and that's the reason why they change colors the way they do.
Why did you feel a need to create a character like Araya?
So, Araya. All right. Well, as I mentioned, it started off as a storyline centered around a father and his two sons. As I started developing the stories, the manga, the animations, even the games that I had developed, and then started to hit the cons, half at least half of my audience was female, and they brought their young girls to the table at times, and they're looking through my books and looking for themselves, and they don't see themselves, you see. And I felt that was unfortunate because my storylines, of course, are are appropriate for the girls just as they are for the boys. They're appropriate for white people, and again, there was white people coming to my table too. And I wonder, have they felt the same way? If they don't see themselves, if they didn't feel like they can connect and participate in the Black Lion and Cubs stories and fanfare. And so that's when I became more conscious of, the fact that um, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me and my children. And so while these people, both females and people of other races, were purchasing my books, I felt that as I move forward, it would be important to, include a more. I'm not going to use the bad words anymore. A variety of people uh, that so that they can see themselves in my storylines. And so I started with Araya because I wanted to have, we had a lot of male energy. I needed to balance it off with some female energy. And as much as we have the Queen Isis is a character who has a lot of layers to her that I have not decided to unpack yet. I wanted to go with the children because the children are the heroes. The children are the main characters in my stories. So I started with Araya. I patterned Araya after my niece, who would come over, 2 to 3 times every year, and my sons just have a ball playing with her. She's older and she's always kicking their butts. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to make in watching that, I said, that's where I'm going to draw my inspiration for my female hero character. It's going to be centered around her because one, they love her, and it'd be, there's a personal connection there, but also because her example is that which I want to see for our young girls: someone powerful, someone strong, someone that's not scared of the boys, someone that can roll and go toe to toe with the boys, someone that's beautiful, someone that self assured, all the things that I think we want for our young girls. And so that's what Araya represents, and that's the reason why I've decided to introduce her through an animation first before I introduce her into the comic stories. And so that's the reason why I'm doing the Kickstarter with her story.
Hmm. What is the Black Lion and Cubs universe like? What kind of journey do the protagonists go on?
So the Black Lion and Cubs storyline takes place in the future. This is a futuristic story. It's a future in which AI and digital technology has been outlawed, and the reason being is because several years, several decades previous to this, the world had basically ended. There has been, just like everyone predicts, that AI becomes self-aware and destroys the planet. That exact thing happened. But in our storyline, instead of AI taking over the world, AI destroys the world, including itself. Okay. Um, and so humanity has to go underground for several decades. And during that time, humanity starts to realize that all the things that they were asking AI to do, they can do themselves. And so during this time, these decades underground, humanity starts to realize that they have greater power than they had realized. And they had been turning that power or reducing themselves because of the reliance on technology. So we start developing the higher percentages of our brain. And when we're able to do that, we see that levitation and telekinesis and all those different things that we, say are superhuman are not superhuman. They are actually innate to us as human beings. We just haven't tapped into that power. So these people are called lumineers. The people that are able to utilize higher percentages of their brains are called lumineers, the engineers of light, and they start to become the leaders of the new, what we call the ancient new world. It's called the ancient new world because when mankind comes up from underground, they see that the whole world is destroyed except for those thousand-year-old ancient structures that have popped up around the world. So mankind now goes back to Egypt, goes back to the monoliths in Europe, in South America. They go back to those the Olmec heads there and such, and they start to repopulate the world in these areas across the world that have been built without AI and have been demonstrated their capacity to stand the test of time for thousands of years. And so we're in the future, but it looks like the past. It's called the ancient new world. Humanity is now led by the luminaires, but again, as much as but the unfortunate truth is humanity hadn't learned its lesson. So you have the battle between the luminaires and the people that the haves and the have-nots, and certain people and populations of people decided they need to protect themselves from luminaires, so they need to develop weapons, and then here we go again. And so uh, the storyline takes place in North Africa, in the new kingdom of Nubia and Egypt, and Black Lion is connected to the king of Upper Egypt and the pharaoh of Lower Egypt, and always trying to keep peace between those two nations. And the stories take place starting there.
Oh, such an interesting concept. After the world ends, how much time passes until they start coming out from the underground?
Um, so I don't have that timeline 100% down packed,
Uh-huh.
but there's many decades, so closer to about 70 years.
Oh, okay, cool. And you said the Lumineers, is that what you're calling the people that have the ability to untap their mind? Is
That's
that
right.
correct?
That's right. The engineers of light, and so their powers are called powers of luminescence.
Luminescence. And
Mhm.
I guess to a degree, like what's like a typical average Luminaire? How much of their brain have they unlocked?
Excellent, great question. So typically, a person has achieved the the title luminaire once they reach 70%.
Hmm.
But then there's, as you know, there's different levels. So just like with the mutants, you have different categories. So there's different categories of luminaires based off of their ability between 70 and 80, 80 and 90, and 90 and 100%. Their powers range, and their powers range based off of their personality. Okay, so um, just like every human being is unique unto themselves, so are their powers. So everyone's power is different based off of who they are, their personality, all their DNA, all those different things, and then also their ability to utilize their power is determined by their confidence, self-esteem, and knowledge base.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so, yeah, yeah.
Almost like how Green Lantern, is sort of like based on his confidence.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a Green Lantern thing. Yeah, but yeah, confidence, and so that's really why the father spends a lot of time. That's so the theme of Black Lion and Cubs is true power comes from within,
Hmm.
and so that's part of the father's job is to help the young his young cubs understand that the power that you're seeking, the ability to affect change in this world, comes from you. You are a luminaire. You have these abilities. They're innate to you, but it requires your ability to tap into your own confidence, belief in self, and your ability to accomplish a goal in order to do so and operate at that level.
Now, I guess going back to the actual Kickstarter campaign, you have such a huge catalog of work, but this is the first time that you have attempted a Kickstarter campaign. Why did you feel the need to tap into crowdfunding for this project?
Great question. So, as I mentioned a little bit about my background, I've been a creative entrepreneur since the mid 90s. And each time I endeavored into a different project or a different type of media, I would reach out to the powers that be to request permission, the green light, support. In the music industry, the labels. I wanted a record deal. I never got a record deal. I wanted a film deal for my first documentary. No one gave it to me. I got all the rejection letters for my query letters to the publishers when I wrote my first book. They all said no. So I tell people that my journey is that of an individual that could never find a way. I was always forced to make my own way. And that's part of the reason why I'm big on confidence and this theme that true power comes from within, because I could have easily given up on my dreams. I could have easily delayed and deferred my plans because people didn't support me the way I wanted to. But it was because of my own confidence, self esteem, belief in self that I said, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to be indie. I'm going to create a way, make the way. So I've developed the skin, the competencies, the confidence, and the resources to do that. That's why I had to build myself up that way, and that has become habitual for me. It's a way of life now. Um, so when I created Black Lion and Cubs, for example, it was nothing different. I said, "Well, I'm not even going to ask at this point. I'm just going to go for it. My children like it. Daddy can do that." And that's what I did. And so that's why, within a year and a half, I already have 3 graphic novels, multiple animations, crazy video games. I have stickers, collector coins, just all the things you see on the Kickstarter page. I have so much, not just an idea, but physically produced that I'm actually selling at cons or in stores. Um, However, fast forward to where we are now, a year and a half deep into Black Lion and Cubs, I see that I've struck a chord in our society in the space of anime. I didn't even know anime was a big deal. You understand? Like I'm a father, I'm an educator. I work with schools and school districts. I've written books for entrepreneurs and curriculum for social emotional learning and stuff like that. That's the space I operate in. Fatherhood introduced me to today's anime, and I didn't know it was like a big deal until I created my own. So I find myself in a space where I'm in the midst of an industry that's popping right now, but I've created something that's unique and different within this space. It's family friendly. It's retro style. It has black heroes. There's no nothing, there's no attempt to, you know, um, be a part of Japanese culture with my brand, except the fact that I honor the fact that they created this, these formats. But there's no attempt like to try and be a part of someone's, be down with any. It's really just a father attempting to do something for his children and choosing this medium as the format to do so.
Hmm.
So all these things I found have made Black Lion and Cubs very unique, and and striking a chord within an audience of people that um, audiences of people that may or may not be a part of the anime or manga world or the comic book world. Like when you come to Black Lion and Cubs, if you're into comic books, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're into manga, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're into anime, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're into video games, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're into Black Power stuff, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're an educator and want something for children, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. If you're an old head like me or OG and into retro culture and pop culture, you can rock with Black Lion and Cubs. So my point is, there's so many different segments of our society and cross sections that have been able to enjoy Black Lion and Cubs from a multitude of vantage points and perspectives, which gives me the not helps me know that this here is the biggest thing that I've ever created. I've, as you know, created a lot, but this one here has the biggest and best chance to go to levels that I've only dreamed of. And that's the reason why my comp is Dragon Ball Z. My comp isn't any other indie creator out there, people that do comp. Those aren't my comp. My comp is Dragon Ball Z because I know this project not only does it favor in some of the way they look Dragon Ball Z, but the fandom that can occur around it can get to that level. I believe in it that highly. So that brings me to crowdfunding because although I don't do it for the money, I crowdfund to help build the audience, the infrastructure, and the ecosystem of people that will support this brand as I continue to move forward and give them the opportunity to participate and be a part of it.
How long will the anime short be? I think it's about 85% completed, right?
That's correct. It'll be right around 8 minutes, between 7 and 8 minutes long.
Hmm.
There's a couple of few little tweaks I'm making depending on how much I raise for it. But yes, it's about 7 to 8 minutes long. It looks phenomenal. It's the best work that I've done as far as animation is concerned. I don't even know because my other animation is pretty dope too. But in any case, yeah, it looks amazing. No pun intended. And I'm really proud of it, to introduce this young lady that if you came up in the 80s, she'll remind you of a Punky Brewster. She has a personality like Punky Brewster.
Uh-huh.
You remember her?
I do remember.
Yeah, yeah. So she has that kind of personality. And again, that's part of the attraction to it. It's like, wow, Punky Brewster. Like if you're an '80s head, you'll know that and say, "Wow, I need to back this project." So there's several different ways that people can. But the challenge for me is, the old adage is, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's why I'm crowdfunding because I don't want to just go fast. I've gone fast. I'm good with that. I want to go far with this project. That requires going together, galvanizing people like you, and everyone else that say, "Hey, you know what? I like what Hotep is doing, but not only do I like it, I think what he's doing is important." And that's my hope that, people don't judge my work based off of whether it's the best. I'm not here to say what I do is the best. What I do know is this project, Black Lion and Cubs, this anime brand is important on many levels. And when you see that, when you see what I've done, when you see hear my backstory, know my track record, my hope is that people say, hey, not only is what he's doing important, but if I had to bet on a horse, if I had to bet on something succeeding, I can feel confident that this here will succeed because there's already a track record of success, a history of success in seeing things through. And I hope that that shows when people go to the Kickstarter page.
Hmm. Speaking of galvanizing, how did you galvanize the resources and I guess the creative team to get this project, started?
Yeah, so man, that's a long. Now that one requires an interview in itself. In fact, no, I'm serious because I created a whole course. Like when people ask me that question, there's so many there's so many small pieces that make up this picture. It's like what's the type of artwork where it has little pieces and you put it together like a not a stained glass, but what's it called?
Hmm.
Um, in any case, there's many small things that make up this one picture,
Hmm.
and each one of them requires strategy, requires technique. When I hire people and where I hire people from, how many people I hire, how I negotiate pricing, where I get things printed and created. Again, I've developed this over many years. Like, as you see, 20 plus years I've been doing this work. So it's not as easy as saying, hey, I just use Upwork, or I find people on Instagram and such. No, 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 no. It's not just about what to do, but how to do it. And that's the reason why I created a course called the Indie Creative Masterclass and included that on one of the levels of for my backers on the Kickstarter. So the Indie Creative Masterclass, I took 7 hours. See, this to that point, I took 7 hours to explain in great to explain in great detail how to go from thought to finish, right? How to go from thought to finish utilizing what I call the make away method. How to make a way, how to get it done, how to get it done fast, and how to get it done at a fraction of the cost that most people pay. So the
Nice.
short of it is you got to back the project or get the course
There you
right there.
go.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well, I guess speaking about the Kickstarter, are there any details of the Kickstarter campaign that you'd like to further highlight?
Man, I wish I could show it on video, man. Show the imagery. But taking people to the link again is amazing. Araya. Um, I don't know about other people's Kickstarter campaigns, but what I do know is very different about my campaign is the rewards that I'm offering are like from a lot of my colleagues, they're raising money to create a product, create a manga or a graphic novel. Well, I already have three graphic novels, physical, not digital. So I'm offering a great deal of physical products. Three graphic novels. I've got collector cards. I've got the limited edition coin, commemorative coin for Black Lion Cubs. We've got the collector gift box, man. I have this gift box, man. It's so beautiful. Like, oh my god, well, you guys, the gift box alone could have been an award, a reward, and not to mention the whole set of enamel pins that I have available. I have one for each of my nine main characters, and those pins are part of these reward, reward tiers. And so I believe that the fact that these aren't things that I have to get produced, these are things that I already have in my warehouse right now, is kind of what separates the offer from a lot of people. Because what I've noticed or heard from other people is, hey, you know what? Once the Kickstarter's done, then I have to get things printed. Then I have to get the order things, and that can be delayed or it can never happen. Some people have been really burned with Kickstarters. That's not something any of my backers have to worry about. My products are here. They're ready to go. As soon as this campaign is done, early March, we're shipping. The animation will be done almost a week after. And then we have premieres set up. We have the first premiere set up in Atlanta for the Atlanta premiere of the animation. So like, again, like it's close to a sure thing and a sure bet as a person can get.
Nice. I guess before we take a break and do a thunder round, which is our a round of random questions, what does the future of Black Lion and Cubs look like? I guess in the next 5 years.
Um, hmm, Hopefully, um, as I continue to demonstrate my value and my worth and my work ethic, uh, other entities, other people start to see what we already know. Like, not only is this dope, but it's important. He's willing to invest his own money and time into it. He's a self starter, and not only will the masses of people get behind the project, but then also some of the higher ups in positions of to put it on more networks and such, will start to take an interest in it. We'll get into distribution, more into distribution, more into manufacturing of figurines. I already have some prototypes of figurines designed. So going into retail, again, everything that you can imagine is being done for Dragon Ball Z. I see that for Black Lion and Cup. So the merchandise, the toy line, and then further expansion of the animation as well, and
Mm,
including, and not to mention the video games.
right. I guess
Hmm.
that's a good segue, talking about Dragon Ball Z, to the Thunder Round, because that's actually my first question. Who is your favorite Dragon Ball Z character and why?
That's a great question. You know what? I don't know because I have never ever watched an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, wow.
Ain't that
Interesting.
something? Ain't that
Yeah.
something? Like, and like, I mean, listen, uh, uh, I was at I was at this event and I said, I was talking about next best thing, and someone asked me about it. I said, something about Vegeta, and he said, "Dude, please don't ever say that again." He's, whatever, if it's Vegeta, I don't even know because I'd never watched it. So he laughed at me. The dude laughed at me. He said, "You don't even know the characters' names." I said, "No, like I know about Dragon Ball Z because it's that big of a deal. You understand? But I don't refer to Dragon Ball Z because I've ever watched it or even enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Like again, my days of fandom ended in '91, and for me, like I don't Dragon Ball Z, as far as I know, was really popping after '91, right? So some of my younger brothers, they got caught into Dragon Ball Z. Mine was Transformers, Thundercats, and Voltron. I was not part of the Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z thing. I never even watched Pokemon. I know, actually, I did. My children were watching Pokemon, so I watched an episode or two of Pokemon just because I was around my kids. But I don't know nothing about Dragon Ball Z.
Hmm.
Nothing.
Cool. That's interesting. What's one word that you would use to describe yourself?
Hustler.
Hustler.
Yeah.
All right.
Hustler. Yes, sir. I go get it, man. That's what I do. I make a way.
Cool. Although, you know, judging by a recent photo that I saw of you at one of your speaking engagements, I thought maybe you would have chosen the word accountable. Because in that photo, your shirt says accountability is love.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to expand on that?
Oh man, that's an initiative that I created through my education consulting business to help people remember that accountability is a demonstration of love. Uh, also, we hear the word accountability all the time. We need to hold each other accountable or hold these people accountable. Um, but all too often we only see accountability as a negative thing, like, oh, when you do wrong, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Well, there's another side to that, that true accountability is a balanced affair, meaning that when you hold people accountable, it is true, you hold people accountable to when they do wrong, but then you also hold people accountable for when what they do right. You see, I, the bottom line is there's a balance to it. You did good. I'm going to hold you accountable to that. There's a response to that. There's a celebration as a result of that. Just like when you do wrong, hey, I got to hold you accountable to that, and we got to talk about it. So either way, and so what happens is schools in particular, for example, all they know is about when you don't do right. I'm gonna hold you accountable, and that's why accountability fails in a lot of organizations, is because it's a lopsided approach. The other thing is accountability is love, means that we only take the time to hold people accountable to a standard because we care enough about them to do so. If we don't care about people, we don't say nothing to them,
Mm,
right?
right.
But when I love you and I see you not doing right, hold on, son. Let me hold on. Let me pull you to the side here because I care enough about you. And that's what people forget. And sometimes when people attempt to hold people accountable, they're demonized. They say, "Why are you picking on me? Why you, why you are targeting me?" And sometimes people forget, no, I'm doing this because I care, not because I don't care. And that's why that message is very important and has been taken off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
If you could have a meal with anyone from the present day or the past, who would it be with, and why did you pick this person?
Mm. Great question. I would have loved to be able to sit down with Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is one of my heroes, and he is so seldom understood and recognized for the great contributions that he brought to this world, particularly us as African Americans here. And I read his books. I don't get the chance to hear, him speak like I hear a Farrakhan or a Malcolm X speech or Martin Luther King speak. I can hear them. I don't really get to hear a lot of Marcus Garvey speeches. And even if I did, I don't never really got to see him outside of that context, what he was like as a person out, when he was not on. So he's a person I would have loved to sit down, have lunch with, and hear his most true, true feelings about things without having to put on for masses of people.
Um, my next question was going to be, what kind of food would you be eating? But I mean, would it be Jamaican food?
Ah, the first thing that came to mind was ackee and sawfish, my brother. Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Um, could you please name one thing on your bucket list that you have already completed, and one thing that still needs to be crossed off?
Mm. One, I got to visit the Great Pyramids
Ah,
in Egypt, and that was an amazing experience. There's quite a few things that are still left. I have not been to Asia. I've been to India, but I have not been to China or Japan. Those are places I'd like to visit. I'd like to go to Dubai. But then also, speaking of Egypt, there's on that trip, there was a place that I was just too tired to get up to go visit, and I regret it. It was called Abu Simbel. Abu Simbel is a structure of is a um, what do you call it? A sculpture that's built into the side of a mountain, and it's one of the most amazing sights in the world that a person can see. And I regret that I didn't take that helicopter trip and spend that little extra money to go see it because I don't know if I'll ever get around to it.
hmm. Um, if you were president of the United States, what kind of artwork would you hang up in the Oval Office?
Black Lion and Cubs.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm one of those people. I have no problem being clear about. I create what I enjoy. I
Hmm.
create what I want to see. That's what Black Lion and Cubs really is. It's just me creating something that I did not see was out there, so I made it. So yeah, That's the kind of artwork I would have in there.
Hmm. Cool. Um, what would the title of your biography be?
Mm, 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 mm. It would be, um, yeah, it would be if you can't find a way, make a way.
All right, I like that.
Mhm.
If I gave you $1 million, what would you do with it?
Hmm. I take at least half of it and play around with stocks and crypto. Take the other half and just finalize the purchases of some of the properties that I have, or cars. Just pay off a lot of stuff, so pay off all my debts.
Hmm.
Um, of course, I take care of my mother. Well, set my mother up so she doesn't have to worry. And of course, I put some of that away for my children's education, and that's all I can think of right now.
What about if I gave you $100?
Mm. Uh, I'd probably go treat myself out to some delicious food.
What's the first thing that pops into your head?
As far as food,
Yeah.
some grilled fish, man. Grilled fish and vegetables. From where no, maybe some grilled octopus, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, lobster.
Uh
Yep.
huh. If a movie was made about your life, what kind of music would be on the soundtrack?
Definitely 80s hip hop. Um, and it would be instrumental. It wouldn't be so it'd be 80s hip hop, um, neo soul, and then what they call binaural music. Like um, I don't know how to describe binaural music. Like meditate music that you would hear and you would consider like that's what I something I'd meditate to or vibe out to, something like that. But not it's not lo-fi. It's like I don't know, it's fantasy
Hmm.
sounding. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, those would be the musics, the types of music that would be in my on my soundtrack, and it would be all instrumental because I like instrumental because it lets your mind float. You know, like instrumental music forces your mind to imagine and your allows your heart to feel. Yeah, when you have words, words color the music now because you're having someone tell you what the intention is or what their intention was. So it messes up that experience. So that's why I prefer instrumental.
Oh, interesting. Well, I kind of prefer instrumental when I'm working. I'm a graphic designer, so when I'm in the zone, I definitely prefer music that's instrumental versus music that has lyrics.
Now, sometimes I'll listen to music with lyrics if the words match the intention. You know, then I'm yelling and screaming those words because I want that emotion,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But more often than not, it's instrumental for me. So yeah, and to your point, that's probably why you do it when you're creating because it's allowing your mind to float and imagine.
So, if it's like say 2 o'clock in the morning, the karaoke joint you're at is closing down, and they say, "Hey, Hotep, you get the last song." What are you singing?
Mm, 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 mm. Wow, the last song. It's gonna be some soul like Billy Stewart, um, Teddy Pendergrass. You know, latest greatest inspiration, something like that. You know,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, it'll be something like that.
Cool. And my last question for the thunder round is, what's a typical day like for you?
I wake up late, like 10 o'clock, because I'm up until about 3 or 4 every night. Um, I get up, check my emails, texts, social media, and then I get to responding. I spend a lot of time in the beginning of the day responding to calls or making calls that I need to follow up. And let's see, then hopefully I remember to eat. After that, Um, I run errands. So at some point after that, run errands, and then uh, my nanny's done with her duties. My children are home, and so then it's father time until my boys go to sleep around 8 o'clock. Then I'm all deep into the creative aspect of things.
Hmm. And in terms of organization, are you the type of person that sort of color blocks their calendar with blocks of time?
No, I'm a floater.
Yeah.
I'm a floater, man. Like I don't even know how people operate like that, man. It just doesn't seem natural.
Hmm.
Um, I tell people, "Hey, come on, you ain't gotta set no time. Just give me a call. Whenever you want to talk, give me a call. If I can't answer, I'll call you back. That's it. It's simple, because otherwise, all the time, most of the time when I try to set these meetings with people, I'll get a call, a text. Oh, I gotta reschedule. Because stuff is always coming up. So just call me when you have time. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
And so that's me. I don't know.
um, I guess of course, there are times where we need a team to support us, and is there a person or a group of people that has helped you along the way that you'd like to say thank you to?
Oh yeah. So first of all, uh, well, the people that I came up with first from the '90s, to Black Lion and Cubs, my Hustle University team, all the people that helped me build to get to the point where I could learn how to make a way. I have some people that have been a part of my life for a good 20 years. Like loyalty is royalty, man. That's a principle over here. And I got people like my homie Red, my homie Barry Brown, Wes, Troya, Candace, that were really a part of helping me get to where I'm at. And then Team BLC, which is more current, that's Team Black Lion and Cubs. All the team there, my voice actors, Josh, Annette, who's done a lot of PR work for me. All my artists, man, I got a lot of artists that I work with that who oftentimes remain faceless and nameless, who deserve so much of the credit for helping me create the beauty of Black Lion Cubs. I want to thank all of them. Yeah, so those are just a few of the people, and there's so many. Charge it to the head, not the heart, people, because I can't remember all the names right now. And there's a
No
lot of
worries.
them. So,
We'll
yeah.
have to have you back on so you can, list out some more names.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to.
um, Before I let you go, is there anything that we missed? Any other projects that you like to promote, or that you'd like our audience to know about?
No, right now everything's about this Kickstarter. It's my first one. I've never done Kickstarter before, any kind of crowdfunding. I want to get to. I've met the financial goal, but I want to reach 100 backers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right around 30 backers now. I
Hmm.
want to get to 100. So if there's anybody listening to this that likes what I do, just pick the lowest tier if you want. Just the fact that you would take the time and effort to invest in my project on any level is meaningful to me. Like I said, loyalty is royalty. I'm loyal to a fault when it comes to my people and making sure that they feel appreciated. They know that they're appreciated. I will always sing people's praises when they do work. That's the reason why I feel kind of bad about not remembering all the names, or not. I don't want to go through all the names because there's so many, and I don't want to miss anyone. But you will see them on my IG page, for example, because I honor everyone.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, the Kickstarter is everything right now. Please spread the word. Um, Participate, contribute. I have great tiers and great backing. Rewards for everyone. Um, and so that's what I'd like to focus my people's attention on. The Kickstarter, they can get there from through Kickstarter itself or on the website blacklioncubs.com.
cool. And the last part of the podcast is the sort of the closing pieces of advice part. Going back to our panel back at Black Comics Day 2024, you said that you wanted to motivate others to get on the ownership and get off the slave ship. Um,
Yes.
would you like to maybe revisit that comment and how it can be food for thought for a lot of the young creators out there, especially ones that are from marginalized groups?
Yes. Well, that statement, man, you're good, Aaron. Um, that statement really just comes from my belief that in this world, it's either ownership or it's slaveship. Either you own the context, the means, the responsibility, for your life, and you take ownership of that, or you're on the slave ship and you allow other people to make those decisions for you. So I've been committed to being on the ownership for a long time, and in the spirit of Black History Month, helping other people get off the slave ship on some Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman Sojourner Truth maneuvers. So that's what I've committed my life to. Black Lion and Cubs is no different. Again, the idea that true power comes from within has to be a part of that, right? You have to know in order to take ownership that you have the power indeed to do so. Too many of us as marginalized people, and that's not just Black people. I'm talking about poor people. I'm talking about Native American, Latino, any group of people, LGBTQ, whatever the letters are. Any person that feels inadequate, marginalized, beat down, not depressed, but oppressed, has to realize and understand that they are already endowed with great power. And when they understand that and start tapping into that power, they can affect the change that they want to see in this world, first by being that change and then also making that change. Of course, does it start on small levels at first? Yes, it does. Are there isms out there, and are there people that are against you? Absolutely. But we don't succeed because they're not there. We succeed in spite of their existence. You understand? And it's that kind of mentality, that kind of attitude that moves all people forward, and the lack thereof that keeps people on a slave ship, always waiting for Superman to come save them. And so that's really, my one of the core messages that I have for people. That's the reason why my biography is, if you can't find a way, make a way. Yeah, you can ask other people. When they don't do it, you're gonna have to do it for yourself. And it's not to say that they're not at fault for whatever they do, but you still have the responsibility. I'll say that again. It's not to eliminate the fact that other people may be at fault. If you want to go there, yeah, there's certain people at fault for whatever, but guess what? Regardless if it's their fault or not, it's still your responsibility to make a change for yourself because it's your life, it's your family, it's your money, it's your house, not theirs. You understand? And that's how I want to end it right there, Aaron, my brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, you know, way to end the podcast. It's so much, so very insightful. So thank you so much for your thoughts and for your time today.
Thank you, my brother. Anytime, I'd be happy to. Please provide the links for anyone whenever you post this, okay?
Will do, brother. And thank you for listening to the Hall 8 Show podcast. And thanks to my guest, Hotep. I'm definitely interested to see how far he can take the Black Lion and Cubs universe. Please consider backing his Kickstarter campaign for the amazing Laya, the anime short film, which ends on March 3rd, 2025. As you know, we love putting the spotlight on independent pop culture creatives like Hotep. If you have a suggestion for a potential guest, please let us know by reaching out to us on social media or by filling out our contact form on our website, hallh.com. If you believe in our mission to be the voice of independent creators, we would appreciate a rating, hopefully 5 stars, and a comment on Apple Podcasts. And please spread the word on social media using the hashtag HallHShow. Peace, cheers, and stay safe out there.